It was 80 years ago this week that Amelia Earhart disappeared, never to be seen again. It's one of the greatest mysteries in aviation history.
For nearly 9 decades, Amelia Earhart's disappearance has stood as one of history's most haunting mysteries. Was she lost at sea? Did she crash on some forgotten island? For generations, the world has speculated, piecing together fragments of evidence, rumors, and grainy photographs. But now, after 88 years, new findings suggest her Lockheed Electra may finally have been found. Buckle up, because one of history's most enduring enigmas might just be on the verge of being solved. From mystery to discovery for almost a century, the question of what really happened to Amelia Earhart has kept historians awake at night, or at least scrolling through old forum threads and declassified archives long past midnight. It's one of those stories that doesn't just invite curiosity. It demands it. Where did she go? What went wrong? And could her final resting place still be out there, waiting to be found? For years, theories have come and gone like the tides. Some practical, others fantastical. Some said she simply ran out of fuel and disappeared into the ocean's endless blue. Others claimed she crash-landed on a deserted island and lived there for days, maybe even weeks, before the sea swallowed her remains. Still others imagined spy missions, government secrets, even alien abductions. But despite all that speculation, hard evidence, real, tangible proof, never surfaced until, perhaps now, in recent years, new eyes have turned toward Nikumaroro, a small, remote atoll in the western Pacific Ocean. It's one of the places most consistently tied to the Earhart mystery, a lonely ring of coral that's as beautiful as it is unforgiving. And now, satellite imagery from the area has revealed something extraordinary, a strange, unnatural shape beneath the shallow turquoise waters of the island's lagoon. Researchers have named it the Taraya object. At first glance, it could be anything: coral, shadows, or the wreckage of some unrelated vessel. But to experts in aviation archaeology, the shape is impossible to ignore. Its size, proportions, and even contours look eerily similar to a downed aircraft. Fuselage, tail section, and all. Even more striking, that same shape appears in aerial photographs from 1938, just a year after Earhart vanished. In those grainy, black and white images, the outline is faint but distinct. Now, with modern imaging and digital enhancement, the resemblance to the Lockheed Electra is almost uncanny. For decades, historians argued over what those photos showed, but technology has changed, and with it, the ability to see what the past once hid. Now, what was once speculation has become a tantalizing possibility. The upcoming expedition this November, a 16-person expedition team from Purdue University, the very school where Earhart once taught and inspired a generation of young aviators, will set out for Nikumaroro. They'll be joined by members of the Archaeological Legacy Institute, bringing both academic rigor and modern technology to one of history's longest-running searches. Their mission: to find out, once and for all, whether the Taraya object is indeed Amelia Earhart's Lockheed Electra. They're taking no chances. Armed with sonar scanners, remote-operated underwater vehicles, and 3D imaging equipment, the team will map the lagoon floor inch by inch. Divers will use underwater cameras to capture every detail without disturbing potential evidence. On land, archaeologists will scour the shorelines for debris that might have washed up decades ago. Twisted bits of metal, fragments of rubber, even traces of tools or supplies. It won't be easy. Nikumaroro is one of the most remote islands on Earth, accessible only by long voyages, surrounded by rough seas and exposed to decades of storms and coral growth. The lagoon's waters are shallow, but treacherous, and even the smallest currents can conceal a lifetime of secrets. But what sets this expedition apart is its precision. This isn't another hopeful guess or loosely planned dive. This mission combines decades of historical research, modern satellite imaging, and computer modeling of ocean currents and tides. It's a search built not on luck, but on data, a collaboration between historians, scientists, and engineers, all working to bring one of aviation's greatest mysteries to rest. And even before the first dive, the world is already watching. Because the thought of Amelia's plane, lying untouched in a remote lagoon for nearly 90 years, stirs something deep in all of us, a mix of wonder, reverence, and the ache of unfinished stories. The hunt for the Electra finding. A plane that vanished in 1937 isn't just about luck. It's about patience, technology, and an almost obsessive attention to detail. The team heading to Nikumaroro is equipped with tools Earhart herself could never have imagined. Sonar mapping systems, capable of reading the lagoon floor with millimeter precision, underwater drones that can maneuver into tight coral channels, and high-resolution imaging software that can reconstruct 3D models of what they find below the surface. Each piece of data will be layered, analyzed, and cross-referenced against known schematics of the Lockheed Electra 10E Yantrihet. Every shadow, every contour, every metallic glint could mean something. On land, the search continues in quieter, more painstaking ways. Archaeologists will look for artifacts, pieces of aluminum, rivets, fragments of plexiglass, all potential traces of a plane that once symbolized the cutting edge of 1930s technology. Even something as small as a hinge or a screw pattern could be definitive. But beyond the gadgets and algorithms, what makes this hunt different is its human element. The decades of study, the deep understanding of Earhart's route, her methods, her meticulous planning. The team has modeled everything from ocean drift patterns to storm history, building a picture not just of where the wreckage might be, but how it could have ended up there. It's detective work on a global scale. One part science, one part intuition, and one part faith. Amelia, the woman behind the legend. Before we dive too deep into the search, it's worth remembering the woman who started it all, because Amelia Earhart wasn't just an aviator. She was a phenomenon. Born in 1897 in Atchison, Kansas, Amelia grew up curious, restless, and fiercely independent. While other girls her age were told to stay grounded, she looked to the sky. She took her first flying lesson in 1921, and from that moment on, she was unstoppable. In an era when the skies were still seen as a man's world, Amelia broke every rule. By 1932, she had become the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean, an achievement that made her a global icon. But fame wasn't her goal. It was fuel for something bigger. She wanted to prove that courage and skill had no gender. Amelia wasn't just bold. She was magnetic. She had a quick wit, an easy charm, and a spark that made people believe in possibility. She wasn't chasing glory. She was chasing discovery. She was a dreamer who turned adventure into advocacy. At Purdue University, she taught and mentored young women, encouraging them to take to the skies, figuratively or literally, to study, to explore, to do what was once considered impossible. That's why her disappearance hit the world so hard. It wasn't just the loss of a pilot, it was the vanishing of a symbol. Someone who had dared to push boundaries, only to be swallowed by the very horizon she loved. The final flight, July 2nd, 1937, Amelia Earhart and her navigator, Fred Noonan, took off from Lae, New Guinea, on what should have been one of the final legs of their world flight. Their next destination was Howland Island, a tiny strip of land in the Pacific, no more than a speck on the map, but crucial for refueling. The morning started like any other, but by mid-flight, things began to unravel. Radio signals grew faint and broken. Earhart reported difficulty seeing the island. Her voice, once calm and precise, became anxious. Those listening from the ground could feel the tension. She was low on fuel. She couldn't locate the airstrip. The last clear message came through the static. "We are running north and south." Then, silence. When she failed to arrive, the U.S. Navy launched the largest search operation in its history at that time. For 2 weeks, ships and planes combed the Pacific, covering thousands of miles, but found nothing. The world was stunned. How could someone so famous, so prepared, vanish so completely? Headlines screamed, "Where is Amelia Earhart?" And so began the longest, most enduring mystery in aviation history. If the wreckage could talk, so let's imagine the expedition succeeds. The divers descend into the lagoon, and there, glinting faintly in the filtered sunlight, lies the skeletal frame of the Lockheed Electra. What could it tell us? Every rivet, every fracture, every weathered piece of aluminum could reveal the story of her final moments. Did the plane land relatively intact? Was it brought down by mechanical failure, or did she attempt a controlled descent? Could the wreckage show signs that she and Noonan survived for a time on Nikumaroro's shores? The Electra was more than a plane. It was a marvel of its time. Amelia had modified it herself, outfitting it with extra fuel tanks, advanced navigation instruments, and radio equipment built for endurance. Examining those remains could deepen our understanding, not just of what went wrong, but of what kind of pilot she truly was. And then there's the human side. Imagine finding a piece of her flight log, her toolkit, even a compass she once held. These aren't just relics. They're connections. Physical threads tying our present curiosity to her courage. The search that never stopped. From the moment her signal went silent, the world refused to let go. Over the decades, countless expeditions have searched, from official Navy missions to private ventures funded by enthusiasts and historians. Each found fragments, tantalizing, frustrating, incomplete. A scrap of metal here, a shoe sole there, a photo of a strange shape under the water. Every find reignited the debate, the hope, and the heartbreak. Technology changed the game. Sonar mapping, satellite imaging, digital analysis, tools that Earhart herself could never have imagined, allowed researchers to look deeper than ever before. That's how the Taraya object was discovered. A potential clue invisible to earlier generations, but now clearer than ever. And through it all, one thing never changed: the persistence of the people searching. Each expedition, successful or not, became a tribute to Amelia herself, a continuation of her spirit, her curiosity, her refusal to stop exploring. A mystery within reach. After nearly 90 years, we may finally be standing on the edge of an answer. Maybe the Taraya object is her Electra. Maybe it's not. But even the possibility reignites something that's always made this story powerful. Our hunger to know, to understand, to finish what she started. Because Amelia Earhart wasn't just a pilot who vanished. She was a pioneer who showed the world that limits exist only until someone dares to cross them. And even if her final flight ended in mystery, her legacy didn't. It took flight and never landed. The ocean may have kept her secret for almost a century. But this time, maybe, just maybe, it's ready to tell the truth. And when the next chapter of Amelia Earhart's story is written, whether in coral, in metal, or in memory, the world will be listening.